Hey, there you go. That's a different feeling for me because I have always been, not always, but over the last few years, I've been kind of a constant writer. It's one of the reasons that I moved to Los Angeles to begin with, was the fact that I wanted to be a screenwriter, and that's what drove me out here. And so for me to now kind of sit here and just say, I don't know what I'm doing or why I'm not writing is a very confusing thing. And it's been more than just quarantine. It was before that as well, kind of to the end of last year. And I've been trying to look for the motivation. So it's interesting that I kind of had this moral quandary, this feeling come up right now, because now is probably the most important time for my history as a writer. And that's because it's about to be National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo. And I don't know. I think that has kind of motivated me over the last few days to move in this direction that I'm going to go. So NaNoWriMo is, again, it's National Novel Writing Month, and it's something I found out about way back in 2013, I guess. Yeah, 2013. So I had always had this idea kicking around in my head, and I always said, you know what, if I ever got some time, I'm just going to write this novel that I had always wanted to write, and I never found the time. It's one of those things that you just, you don't find the time for, I guess, unless you make the time for it, and I hadn't made any time for it. And I do believe it was my friend Alyssa who told me about NaNoWriMo. I may be wrong about that now, but I know that she was participating back then, back before husband and babies and everything else that normal people my age are dealing with. So NaNoWriMo, for those of you who aren't really aware of what it is, again, National Novel Writing Month. It's not necessarily national in so much as it's a holiday or anything, but there are participants from all over the country. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that believes in the transformational power of creativity. I'm reading from the NaNoWriMo website right now. They provide structure, community, and encouragement to help people find their voices, achieve creative goals, and build new worlds on and off the page. And, you know, that's a 501c3's descriptor, right? That's how they would describe themselves. But this all started from National Novel Writing Month, which began in 1999. It's basically a challenge for anyone who wants to write a novel. And I, back in 2012 or 13, whatever it was, I decided I was going to take that challenge. And the challenge is write 50,000 words of a novel in 30 days, in the 30 days of November. And each year, November 1st, hundreds of thousands of people around the world begin to write their own novels, determined to end the month with at least 50,000 words of a brand new novel. And they come from all walks of life. When I was back in Maryland, was a little more involved in the, public events. Like, we'd go to write-ins where we'd go places and write. We would go to honestly, just coffee shops. And sometimes it was like, hey, this is not a writing event. This is you need to get your back out of your brain for a little bit. So come talk to other writers about like how this process has been working for you. And I found it to be an unbelievably supportive group. And I think that that's the one thing that I love about the writing community more than anything else. Screenwriters included, but novel writers especially. When I worked with my publisher, which I'll get to in just a minute, but I found that the community of writers there is so positive and so supportive. There is never a feeling that it is a zero-sum game. It's really... Oh, apparently people can't hear me? Oh no. Okay. Not sure why you can't hear me. Sorry, guys. Let me just take a second. I'm going to try to figure out why the audio is not working. All right, so I guess I'm going to... I'm actually live on Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, via Periscope, and on YouTube, but apparently we're having some audio issues on Instagram, so I'm going to go ahead and end that live stream. Feel free to go over to any of the other ones, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook or Twitter, and I'll be over there. But thank you guys for joining me on Instagram. I appreciate it. So sorry. Let me kind of get back to the story where I was. Apologies on the technical difficulties on that end. But so it's the writers are a very supportive community, and I think that the thing that I love most about that community is that there is never a feeling like it's a zero-sum game, that like my success has to come at the cost of anyone else. There is room in the world for all kinds of writers of all kinds of material, and they love everything about it, and they will always be supportive of you, even if it's somebody who writes almost the exact same thing that you do. There is a feeling amongst the community that like, if you write something good, that's going to make more people want to read this thing, and that means a better chance for me to find readership out there. So I know it's probably the one thing I've ever been a part of that has felt that supportive, that we have to just get more people out there and doing good work, because when we do, it means better success for everybody. So anyway, getting back to NaNoWriMo, it officially became a nonprofit in 2006, and they actually do a whole bunch of other programs to support fluency, literacy, education. They have writers' workshops, and they actually provide basically a social network to connect authors with each other. And they have a tool that they use that helps you track your progress over the course of the month of NaNoWriMo. And I guess I kind of skipped over the middle part there, but my adventure started in 2012, and I sat down and said, I'm going to finally write this book that I have always wanted to write, this idea that I've had kicking around in my head forever, and I'm going to do 50,000 words in 30 days. And I am the kind of person that when I dedicate myself to do that, I'm going to find a way to do it. And it meant sometimes, when I had a busy week, that I had to put everything aside on the weekend and just write all weekend. And I missed 5 days in the middle of the week. That means I'm 7,000 words behind. All right, 10,000 words this weekend it is. 5,000 a day, both. And just bang it out and get it done. And at the end of my first NaNoWriMo in 2012, 2013, I actually completed my novel. I finished 50,000 words, and I was actually upwards of 65,000 words by the end of the month. And I spent the next bit into December and January finishing up the novel and then starting my first edit. And I had some friends of mine read it and edit it for me. And I guess it would have been 2013. Yeah, it would have been 2013, because in the spring of 2014, I actually had a finished product, and I started looking for ways that I could get it published. I made some connections with some different publishing companies. I sent out a query letter with my manuscript, and I sent it out to people. And surprisingly, to me, in the first batch of query letters that I sent out, I received, I think, 12 responses within 48 hours from all of those. So that was pretty fantastic to me. And it's weird. So 6 months later, in November of 2014, I had a published novel through a company called Solstice out of Denver. And it was a great procedure of like working with their editors, working with their graphic designers, picking out the cover, picking out, working on edits and making sure that it was still my voice, even if it was a little more clear, because it was done by somebody who was a professional editor and copywriter. And it's one of those things that you don't really know that you're going to like until you actually sit down and do it. But I absolutely loved it. The process was grueling. 50,000 words in 30 days is a lot. But the finished product is there forever. You can go get it on Amazon. New copies are not available. We're working on that part of it. But it's always there. And there are copies out in the world. There are people with it sitting on their shelves. And not that book, but so the next year I decided to do it again and write a second novel. I did. The second novel came out the year after. So 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018, I had novels come out. I published with Solstice for 2014, 15, 16, and 17. I self-published in 2018, and then again last year in 2019. So I haven't done anything yet this year. but I'm on a string of just making sure that I have one book per year that's getting published. I actually published some shorter stories, a collection of like tales from within the universe that I was building in the novels, and it gives you a reason to write. And I didn't always win NaNoWriMo. Sometimes life gets complicated. Last year, or not last year, wow, 4 years ago now, 2016, I wrote during NaNoWriMo, but in the middle of the month, I moved from Maryland to LA, and it just wasn't going to happen. There was no way I could get 50,000 words done during a road trip. So I didn't win, but it inspired me to start the novel before I left, and then I finished the novel later, and then published the novel the next year. So, and the lessons that I learned through the publishing process, going through it, 4 times, and meeting with editors and meeting with graphic designers and seeing how this whole process works, I eventually just said, I think I have a handle on this, and I don't know that it's benefiting me to have a publisher because I'm not looking to be a professional writer. I mean, obviously, I would love to be a professional writer, but I don't know that I have the time and attention to dedicate to it to make that switch over to be a professional writer. So in the end, publishers are great for people who want to be professional writers or who have no idea about what the process is. But having gone through it 4 times, I understood the process and I understood everything I had to do. And I just decided to do it myself. And I moved forward and said, books number 5 and 6, I'm going to do myself. All of these short collection books, I'm going to do myself. Self-published, found ways to get them edited, did the covers, worked with people to get the covers done, and just basically did the whole process myself. And I've learned a lot in doing the process myself as well. But like I said, I've been a little stagnant with my writing, and I've been looking for something to break it. And I did NaNoWriMo last year. Which by doing it, I mean I wrote for the first maybe 7 days of the month and then completely dropped it because work was too crazy and I didn't have time. And that is very unlike me. And I think I was coming back around to it now and thinking like, did I do it last year? And then I went to my account and I did, in fact, do it last year. I just stopped writing. And that's not how you get a finished novel. And I'm not really happy about the fact that that's how it worked. In 2020 will be the first year since 2014 that I don't have a novel coming out or any of my writing coming out. Now, I've replaced that with 100 hours of content, podcasts, and movie reviews and everything else, but it's not the same thing. World building through a novel is something that I really enjoy, and getting messages from people. Honestly, having strangers send you messages to your Amazon authors portal and just say, like, I was really into this book. This character just disappeared halfway through, and I really want to know what happened to that character. And for me, being like, oh, this was just a minor person who moved the story forward, and thinking about, like, how could I involve this person more in the future? There is nothing that feels the same way holding a physical novel with your name on the cover, knowing that it's your blood, your sweat, your tears, your time. Everything has gone into this, and now it's a real thing that will always live in the universe. And I think about several things. One is a Twilight Zone episode where there's a guy who just loves to read, and he gets locked in a vault somewhere, and then nuclear annihilation takes out the entire planet, and he comes out and realizes he's the only human left, and now he has time. There's time to read all the books. There's time to learn all the things, and the Twilight Zone part of it is that he wears glasses, and then he breaks his glasses, so now with all this time, he's not going to be able to read anything, but just the way that he walks into that empty library, there's no one in there, and he can just, like, the books will always be there. There's no people. The world has ended, but the books are there. And yeah, every post-apocalyptic novel you've ever or movie that you've ever seen, there's always books around. It's always, this ancient tome from a long time ago about the journey, and it turns out it's Lord of the Rings or whatever. Books always survive, and human beings are storytellers. We've been telling stories since we could grunt and gesture around a campfire. And I think that to feel as though I can be part of that community Being a screenwriter obviously is still the dream. That's still what I'd love to do. I think 4 years on now, real life pushing 40 has taken its toll, and now I'm not as focused as I should have been, and maybe I've lost that little spark that inspired me, but I'm going to look to recover that by diving in and writing a new novel for NaNoWriMo this month. And I think that over the last few years, I've also learned that it's very important not to just focus on yourself. When you're in your 20s especially, it's easy to see the world through only your lens and just say, if it doesn't impact me, what does it matter? Me first, everyone else second. But I think that the changes that have happened in my life over the last 5 years, moving closer to 40 than I have to 20 now, that I have gotten the mindset of, if you can do a thing, you should absolutely teach anyone, show anyone who wants to know how to do that thing as well. Because you knowing how to do it is only so good. Sharing that knowledge with other people is a better way for the world to operate. And honestly, the podcast that I do, Rob Explains, is all about that. It's just things that I find interesting or cool or random, and I want someone else to be able to throw a factoid into a conversation the way that I like to do, which probably annoys everyone, but for someone else to be able to do that, and for me to have been the way that they have learned that thing, I think is amazing. And I probably missed my calling as a teacher. That is probably true. But c'est la vie, here we are. So in that spirit, I think that the entire point of me doing the video today and talking about NaNoWriMo and how it inspired me and kind of the history of my writing, I guess for those who don't know it, is that I don't want to go through this adventure alone. And I know that there have been people who found out that I had published novels over the last couple of years and had said to themselves, or even said to me, like, oh, I've always wanted to write a novel, but I couldn't. It's just not something I can do. It's and there's just like a lot of self-doubt. I think that everyone, and myself included, suffers from the imposter complex, that we always think that the thing that we want, someone else is better at, someone else can do, and we cannot. And that's absolutely not true. Fly a space shuttle. That is something that only a certain number of people can do. So if your dream is to fly a space shuttle, and you're my age, you've missed the boat. I'm sorry. But if you want to make a short film, if you want to learn how to podcast, if you want to write a novel, if you want to learn to skateboard or learn photography or to speak Spanish or any number of things, there is nothing stopping you. And I know that I still have that feeling, that imposter syndrome of like somebody who is marginally more successful at anything that I'm interested in, and feeling as though like, well, they're the ones who should be doing this. I'm not the one. But that is detrimental. It's detrimental to the world, who you're depriving of your probably excellent novel, the entertainment of people, in a world where sometimes, I find myself reaching all the time and trying to figure out like what's something new that I can watch or that I can read, that I can consume. And you are depriving somebody who may really enjoy your thing of that thing. I've been doing these parody videos for the past few months now, the parody songs, but they're on YouTube and SoundCloud. And I think that I don't want to be a musician. I have fun in the process of writing and working with my friends to like hammer out a final version and then recording it and figuring out how, like, doing a cover, and I'm learning how to edit music, produce music, how to use Photoshop better. All of these things are involved in this process. And it doesn't have to be my dream to be a singer to go and do that. But I know that there are people out there who want to be singers, and they think, well, I'm not good enough to be a singer, so why even start? And that's absolutely the wrong mindset. I want people to start being in the mindset of why not why. If you want to be a singer, the only thing stopping you is the fact that you don't open your mouth and sing. I am a terrible singer. I know that. But several times a month, I go into a homemade studio that we built ourselves at my friend's apartment, and I record music, either myself or someone else, and then I put it out on the internet where it will live forever. And I spend hours and hours editing and getting the materials ready for it and posting it and then posting about it. And it's all for what? For me, it's because I enjoy the process. And I'm learning something new every time I do it. If that's not enough, I mean, I don't know what else I can tell you. If it's your dream and you're not willing to put in the time for it, then there's not a lot that can be done about that. You are the only one holding you back. So I can't help you with singing. That's not my thing. I can't help with a lot of stuff. I put a post up earlier this year that was just like things I've eliminated as possible careers because I'm just not good at them. But writing apparently is something that I am good at. And if you want to write, I want to help you do that. I want to be a coach pushing you forward. I want to be the person that you can ask questions of. I want to be the person that you can send whatever you need to bounce ideas off of, whatever it takes. I want to be that person, and I am making myself available for that. So I am on NaNoWriMo's website. I will post the link to NaNoWriMo in the link tree so that you guys can find it. I'll put it to mine directly, but you can actually sign up there as well. And then you could just find me. There's what they call a buddies section. And you can just find me and send me messages on there. I also use an app called Writing Companion, which NaNoWriMo doesn't have an app. And you can enter your words in the tracker online, which I do. You set goals and it makes sure that you're on goal, you're on your path. But the Writer's Companion app I find to be a lot easier because it's on the phone. It sends me reminders and they send these helpful tips sometimes when you've gone a couple days and you haven't written. It'll say, hey, so why not write today? And a little bit of a guilt trip is always a good thing. So I guess the entire point of this is to say, if you have ever wanted to write anything, especially anything fictional, a fictional novel, if you've wanted to write that, I want you to dedicate 30 days to sitting down and doing that. And it is a rough time. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it is all fun and games, that it's all easy, that you can sit down and knock out 1,667 words a day, which is what you have to do to hit 50,000 words in 30 days. And that every day is just going to flow out of you. But I can tell you that if you're ever frustrated, if you ever want to quit, if you ever have a question, if you want to bounce ideas for your story, I will be there to walk you through it. And I want to help create a community of people who want to do this. So, you could find me on all your social networks. You're watching on one of those right now. But at Robert N. Cheek on Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Twitch, TikTok, everywhere. And, of course, robertncheek.com. You can find me on NaNoWriMo. Take a guess. Robert N. Cheek. That'd be me. So if you decide that you want to stand up and join, I encourage you to do that. NaNoWriMo actually had their kickoff today, right now. Funny thing about that. And then it's just basically this week is our warm-up week. It's start planning. And the reason I wanted to do it today and not closer to NaNoWriMo is I am starting to plan out the novel today. I am working on what is my story, what I already kind of had the idea of what I wanted to write, but I'm going to try to put the beats together so that I can basically keep the idea ahead of the writing. Now, the way that I write doesn't work for everybody. And I am more than happy to help you with figuring out how works best for you. Some people note card the entire thing. Some people outline the entire thing. And some people spend the first few days of NaNoWriMo not putting words on a page, but planning out the novel. And I have seen outlines that run like 40 pages. And that is writing work too. It's just as much because once you get down to writing the story, a lot of it is already done. And I spend more time than I care to admit to just like staring off into space, thinking about like, all right, so where does it go from here? I know where I need to get, but how do I get them there? And a little more planning would probably help me on that, but it's just not something that works with my process. But 2020 has been a year, to say the least. And I have watched, especially at the beginning of quarantine, people just focusing on self-care and self-improvement and learning and doing new things. And I think that we are now 7 months in. It started in March. We're now going into November. So 8 months. Wow. We are about to go into our 8th month of quarantine. And I know that it has been taxing and it's been wearing on people, and people are just looking for relief. And I can't open a bar that you guys can go to. I can't open a restaurant that you can go to. I can't reopen the movie theaters if you're here in LA, because they're not open here yet. But what I can do is try and inspire you, try to help you inspire yourself to do that thing that you've always wanted to do and that maybe you've always thought was too difficult. Maybe you've just not known how to even get started. Let's get started. Now is the time. If there has ever been a November where you can sit and take 30 days to write 50,000 words, it will be this November. There is literally nothing to do out there. Leaving your house and going to an indoor place is a risk of your health and your life. Stay home, stay inside, and stay writing. So, I'll probably be live again next Sunday. Next Sunday is, of course, November 1st. If I have that correct. I believe so, yeah. Yeah. Yes, next Sunday is November 1st. So before I get writing on my first day, I'll go live again, and hopefully some of you will choose to join me. Again, I'm available everywhere. And if we get enough people, I'll start a Facebook group or something where we can all stay in touch with each other and be supportive. But as when it closed, I was saying, I think that if you have ever wanted to do this, just know that in 2010, 2011, I was sitting there thinking, I've always wanted to write something, but, who am I? Who am I to write? And, my book's not going to be a bestseller. None of my books will ever be a bestseller. But for one of the books, a women's reading circle somewhere in Kansas got it, and they read through it. And so 150 copies went to some town in Kansas. And they sat down and read the words that I put on a page and discussed it like it was actual literature. So, I don't know, something about that just amazes me. And if you have that same feeling, if you want to give somebody that same feeling, I've continually chased the high of wanting to give somebody a crazy reaction that just blows their mind. And I still today love the days on Time Hop when those text messages pop up, when it's just, huge exclamations and then me saying, what are you even talking about? And then I realize they're reading the novel. They've gotten to the crazy thing. They've gotten to the wild moment. They've gotten to the big climax, and it has hit them exactly as I intended it to. There is no better feeling for anyone, I think, than that. So join me. This is not about me just standing on the sidelines and offering advice as if I'm some kind of professional. I'm not. I'm heading back into the trenches, and I'm looking for people who want to get involved in this battle with me. We can watch each other's back. We can have each other there for support. And as somebody who's been here before, I think I can offer a unique perspective on that. So let me know. If anybody's interested, I would happily be ready to step up and do that. But even if you choose, if this reaches you and you say, you know what, I am going to sit down and write it. I'm going to check out this NaNoWriMo thing, and it's none of his business. I'm going to go write myself. Good. I don't care. If you get writing and stay writing, then that's what I want. I want people to know that, you see authors' names on the shelf, and they are no different than anyone else. They are a regular person. The only difference is they sat down and they actually did it. So I want you to sit down and do it. And do it with me. Do as I do, not just do as I say, I guess, because I'm known for the other. But anyway, so I guess that's it. We've been about a half hour now anyway, so that's long enough of me talking. Thank you guys for checking out the video. Again, you can reach out to me on all your social networks. Robert N. Cheek. Website is robertncheek.com. You can find my authors page on Amazon. Just search for Robert N. Cheek. You can find my books there. Not all of them are available, but I'm hoping that this NaNoWriMo will inspire me to push a new one out for publishing and finally get through the edits and get my old ones back up. Once the rights with the publisher returned to me, those books got pulled, and it was up to me to get them back out, which is terrible because that means it's going to be a long time to do. But I'm going to get working on that as soon as we get done NaNoWriMo this year. So thank you guys for checking out the video. If you have anything, make sure you reach out to me. I am always available for questions, for your concerns, for your queries, and let's do this together. I'm looking forward to getting started. So for those of you who are gonna do this along with me, I will see you next Sunday. Let's get our planning done, and let's get writing. All right. Have a great week, everybody. You can hear me tomorrow on the Air the Anthem podcast. We'll be recording live on Mondays. Episode goes live on Tuesdays. Everyman Movie Review will be up later today, and again on Thursday. So make sure you check that out. And Rob Explains is up. I did the Electoral College today if you're watching live, but we got a lot of exciting episodes about the Electoral College and explaining why it's important coming up in the next few days. So check out Rob Explains on Anchor or wherever you get your podcast. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me. Have a great week, everybody.